You are here to provide an update on a story from 2 months ago where you reported that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was under investigation by the House Ethics Committee. What can you tell us?
When the House Ethics Committee first made public that it was investigating AOC, it was a very cryptic message that just said it was voting to it had voted to move to continue the examination into the congressperson, or excuse me, the matter is the phrase they used. They didn't say what the subject was. They didn't say when the investigation began, and they just said they would update at a later date after the new Congress, and after the committee forms in the new Congress and has its first meeting, and that hasn't happened yet. But of course, most of the speculation immediately went to her high-profile appearance at the Met Gala, famously wearing that dress, "Tax the Rich." I spent some time going through documents of another New York Democrat who had similarly faced an ethics investigation for her appearance at the Met Gala. And Carolyn Maloney, she's no longer in Congress. If you go through her investigation, which has been released, you can find a lot of differences between her circumstances and AOC's that really stand out as things that the ethics committee is going to have an interest in with regard to AOC.
Let us know those differences. What stands out to you from AOC's compared to Carolyn Maloney's? And does it matter that Carolyn Maloney is no longer a member of Congress?
Sure. So what mattered with Maloney no longer being a member of Congress and that she lost in a primary, that's the reason her report is public and AOC's is not. There are rules about when they can release an ethics investigation, and they're not allowed to do it within a certain amount of days of an election. And since Maloney lost in a primary, she didn't have to worry about that general election blackout that did benefit AOC in keeping this under wraps for a little bit longer. Maloney got busted for having requested a ticket and then accepted one to the gala. There's no evidence that is what AOC did, or spokespeople said she was invited. But if you look through the footnotes and a lot of the small details about the investigation, where the investigators talk about what they were looking for, a few things stand out. One of them is that they asked for and received receipts for Maloney's dress, makeup, and hair for all 3 years that she went to the gala, including the year that she rented her dress. Now, AOC, the morning after the gala that she went in 2021, posted that she had borrowed the dress. Well, it's in the hairstyling and makeup also, according to videos, was provided by people working with Vogue. And, I reached out to those people asking, was any money exchanged? Are there receipts? I didn't hear back from anybody. But so it sounds like the investigators are going to be interested to see if Ocasio-Cortez has receipts for those items. And based on the evidence that's out there publicly, she doesn't. She's the one who said she borrowed this dress. Maloney rented a dress for a night. And, what's the difference between borrowing a dress and a free rental? And both AOC and the designer, Aurora James of Brother Vellies, said that they worked together to some extent on this dress. So this is not like it's some random dress that was hanging in somebody's closet that she just borrowed and took out. I mean, this was couture designed for her and with her to wear to this event. So I think those are issues that the House Ethics Committee is really going to be interested in.
From what you're explaining, it sounds like she kind of waded into murky waters here. Obviously, they're not allowed to accept gifts, but what is the policy on borrowing?
Well, government watchdog told us flat out, like, they're not, borrowing is the same as gift. I mean, otherwise you could just borrow things endlessly. And, I had another ethics law professor specializing in government ethics, Kathleen Clark at St. Louis, or Washington University in St. Louis, went through the rules and said, like, I can't find an exception that applies to what AOC did here. So it certainly seems like it's a freebie. And I think in this instance, it something the committee is looking at.
Her dress said, obviously, tax the rich. And this was one of the most talked about moments from the Met Gala. Do you think if she chose a different, more subdued wardrobe choice, she wouldn't be investigated?
No. AOC can sneeze and you're going to find 4 conservative leaning watchdogs that would file a complaint about it. So, the Office of Congressional Ethics, which started this inquiry, they were going to get a heads up no matter what she does. And if you look, as I was looking through other possibilities of what the ethics panel could be looking at for her, there were several other inquiries, but most of them just didn't even seem like they rise up to anything that could be a violation. I mean, some of them seemed like flat out nonsense. So I don't think anything, she's high profile no matter what she does. If she was just wearing any old dress, she certainly still would have been hit with it. And there are other concerns. The dress is not the only thing that it sounds like investigators are looking at based on the Maloney report.
When will we figure out the full scope of the investigation?
Who knows? It has to happen after the House Ethics Panel meets for the first time and sets its rules. And they haven't done that yet. So it's not clear exactly when they are going to meet. It appears that they'd have to do it. So sometime within a month after that first meeting is probably when they would have to put out the full report, similar to what they did with Maloney.